All right, well, good evening, everybody. I hope everybody's week has been off to a good start. My name is Sarah Rose Stack. I'm the Director of Internet Sales and Training with maWebCenters. And I'm really excited about tonight's session. Tonight's session is dedicated really to what the internet is dubbed mobile get-in. I don't know if you all are aware of this or not, but Google actually, as of today, just released a brand new algorithm, which is affecting, I mean, gosh, it's going to affect hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of websites and how they're indexed. And what I mean by that is Google has always taken this road that content is king. And the idea here being that they are in a referral business, right? And so when a user goes to Google and they search for a term, a product, or a service, Google's number one job is to return the most relevant results to that viewer, right? To that user. And so one of the biggest ways that Google actually decides what results to return to the user is based on good content. Is the content up to date? Are they changing content often? Is the content congruent? And what I mean by that is, the title of the pages and the keywords and the actual text that's in the website itself, are all of those terms, are they actually in alignment, or are they just a bunch of random keywords that have nothing to do with the content itself? So, they really have this belief that content is king, and if the content is congruent, the content is good, then the user will be satisfied with the result that they were given. And that's a really healthy and awesome way to approach it, I think. So and that's a good thing, and they're not actually changing that, and that's actually really important to keep in mind. Is with this whole mobile get-in thing, the idea that content is king does not go away. The only thing is that the user experience is being pushed to the forefront, and the priorities right alongside the idea of content is king. And what I mean by that is it's showing that Google is getting 60% of its visitors right now via mobile devices. And so now they have this whole other issue that they've got to think about. So if they know that more than half of their visitors are visiting their site on a mobile device, content is not enough. The content needs to be visible, it needs to be understood, and the user needs to have a good experience. They need to be able to easily read the information and absorb and be able to actually use the information that is given to them. And so having a mobile website or a mobile version of a website is critical. And so as of today, that new algorithm was released, and what it does is if you have a mobile version or a responsive website, then your site is going to be indexed higher than somebody that does not have a mobile or a responsive website. And so that's really, really important to remember, because I don't know if you realize this or not, but this actually came out, this announcement from Google came out 2 months ago. And 2 months ago is when we did our free webinar for clients on the importance of responsive design. And so the idea was to give people some time to start thinking about a responsive or a mobile website for themselves. And we went through all of the different options for going responsive that we have, from free to paid service, and all of those options and that webinar actually still exists. So if you go to our YouTube channel, you can watch that webinar that was actually recorded successfully 2 months ago, and you can learn how to change your website with us over to a responsive design, doing it yourself using our tech support, and that's available 24/7. And then we also have design packages, and we'll talk more about that at the end of tonight's session. But in any case, with this new change going into effect, we thought it would actually be really appropriate to talk about things that are going to help your website perform well on the search engines, because we all know that having a website is just not enough, right? You want to have a good website, you want it to be designed well, you want it to accurately represent your company. But mostly you want people to go to it and you want people to be sent to it. And so aside from the obvious your the obvious benefit that your viewers are going to have a better experience, the second and less obvious benefit to having a good website is that it truly does affect how visible your website is on the search engines now more than ever. So we're actually going to talk about how to create good content, defining what good content is, the words, the actions behind those words, the call to action. And really, we're going to talk about 3 different questions that we recommend you ask yourself when you're deciding what kinds of content to include on your website. And so it's a great starting point. And whether you are starting your website from scratch, or you're thinking about redesigning the content on your site, or maybe you're going to be switching your site over to responsive, and with that change, you want to rethink the kinds of content on your site, these suggestions are meant to help focus your thinking and give you a starting place so that you come up with really great content. And then again, we're going to talk a little bit about mobile get-in, the difference between a responsive site and a mobile site, which one is better overall, and the different options that you have for going responsive or mobile, so that again, with this new change that Google is making, your website is not going to suffer a lack of traffic or a decrease in traffic as a result of you just not having a responsive site. All right, so with that being said, welcome everybody to tonight's session. I hope that you're going to find a lot of value and that this will be helpful for you. If you have any questions, feel free to send them in the question box and I'll take questions at the end. And as always, we also have 24/7 technical support available for all of our website clients. And so if you want to get started right away, even though it is, after 9 p.m. Eastern time, you could literally end the session and get on the call with our tech support, and they will be there to help you. All right, so with that being said, we have to define why content is so important. Now, I just explained to you that content plays a critical role in Google and Yahoo and search engines deciding whether or not to recommend your website to its searchers, right? And I just explained exactly why that's important. I mean, when Google or Yahoo gets a visitor to their website and someone wants to know or learn about a product, service, or look for a piece of information, they're in the business of making referrals. And so they're going to refer the best possible result to the viewer so that, people will come back. And if Google or Yahoo starts, returning results that are irrelevant, then that will cause their viewers to go somewhere else. And so having good content matters. That's why search engines do that. That's why they actually moved away years ago from just a keyword approach, because they realized that anybody can manipulate that, and content is king. And so that's the number one reason, search engine wise, why you would want to have good content. But the other obvious reason is that good content attracts customers, right? Because having good content tells the exact story of your business. And it is a picture into what you're all about. It provides all of the answers really that a potential customer would want when they're in a researching phase. Good content is not just informative. Good content is more of a dialogue, right? Where the customer feels like they're actually walking into your store, that there's somebody there talking to them. It's not just somebody talking at them. And that's another important fact to keep in mind when you're writing your content. Are you lecturing or are you opening up a dialogue with your content? Sometimes, yes, you are talking about yourself, or you are describing a service or a product. However, the more conversational your website can feel, the more stickier that it will be for your viewers. The more they will want to stay, the more that they will want to interact. At the end of the day, good content helps shape the buying decision of your potential customer. If they go to your website and your content is good and they find the answers to the questions that they have, that helps shape their decision in a positive way. Now, on the same token, if they come to your website and the content is not great, and it's vague or it's ambiguous or it's missing information or the information is out of date or the information is just hard to absorb because maybe it's not written well or it's not scannable or it's so text heavy that it's hard to absorb, that also will help shape the buying decision of your potential customer. The only problem is it would shape it in a more negative way. So good content is a really important part of the process here. And so that's actually something to keep in mind when you're working with our design center, and we're asking you for content or we're asking you for at least bullet points. We're asking you because we want you to have a successful website. And so we want to make sure that that content is accurate, that it's representative of who you are, it's telling your business's story, and we're putting your best foot forward. So, with that being said, the first thing to keep in mind is that web surfers have the attention span of drunken gnats. And I didn't say that, Forbes magazine said that. And it's true. And just think about yourself, guys, when you go to a website as a consumer. If you, I mean, you're not reading full articles 9 times out of 10. 9 times out of 10, it's on some sort of touchscreen mobile device or an iPad, and you're literally just scanning through things, right? If there's not a picture, or something that's very visual, or if it's not bulleted, you're probably not reading it unless it has caught your attention. Now, keep in mind, if it did catch your attention, it caught your attention probably because there was something visual that led you to the actual article, right? And so, people don't look at things for longer than a second or 2 seconds. And so it's got to grab your attention, it's got to be visual, and it needs to stand out. People are bombarded every single day with all kinds of information, with links, with videos, with pictures, with calls to action and articles and products and services and social media and online periodicals. I mean, there's just so much stuff that gets, that is just constantly scrolling in front of our faces. People wake up in the morning and the first thing they grab is their smartphone to check their messages, check their email, check their social media. And but the thing is they're not really reading it all, right? They get to Facebook and they just scroll through, and you aren't reading half of what you see. You're really just looking at it. And just understanding that that is how people are processing information is really important, because when you write the content on your website, you need to think about who's going to be looking at it, who's going to be visiting it, and how can you form your content in a way that would be most absorbed by the people that are actually visiting your site. And it's simple. It comes down to making sure that your content is media rich. It is very visual, meaning, gone are the days where you could just write, a nice thesis and a ton of information, and then just know that people would read it. It's got to be visual. There's got to be graphics. There's got to be a design element there. Um, and you've got to do things to make different parts of your website pop or stand out. It should be original content. You can't just write some, cookie cutter content and expect people to be inspired to read it. You have to come up with what is going to make your business stand out. It should be well written and it should be updated. If people come to a website and the content is clearly out of date, that negatively affects your business. I think a few years ago, you probably could get away with it and people would be more forgiving, whereas of now, it's just not the case. I mean, people expect websites to be done well, they expect the content to be accurate, and you'll get called out if it's not. There's been there have been many cases myself where I found a website for a restaurant online. The menu items are out of date, and I call to make an order, and the menu's either not available or the price was $3 or $4 more than what was listed on the website. And so I'm a pretty forgiving person, but other people might not be so forgiving when they call and the restaurant menu is not the right price, and they might be upset about that or demand that you honor the price that's published, right? So you got to think about it like that, guys. Your website content has to be up to date. It has to be um, the right content. Otherwise, it'd be just like handing out a menu with, out of date menu items and prices in the store or restaurant itself. A couple of tips for doing this is to make sure that anytime you have to write in paragraph form, that they are short. There will be some occasions where you need to write in paragraph form. Maybe, for example, when you are doing a short description of a service or about your company itself. Either way, you want to make sure that it's short. Use bullet points. In my opinion, 70 to 80% of the content or the text on your website needs to be very scannable text, meaning somebody could look at it and without completely reading it left to right, they know what it says. You can also highlight phrases, or you can see here this person has like literal highlighting or background imaging so that it makes certain text pop. So this is a desktop version, a tablet version, and a mobile version. The appointment section here is popping because it's put on a nice bright colored background. On the same token, this text right here that's showing over the background image, there's a nice black transparent background that makes the text pop a little bit more. You've got to think about how that content is organized. Just writing the two sentences, that's just the beginning. The next thing is how can you make it pop? So the next thing I'd like to talk about is your business identity, right? We're going to talk about what is good content. Well, good content shows who your business is. It's a clear description of who you are, meaning when you go to the website, you have a very clear idea of what that company is all about, both because of the design and also because the content itself is good. When you read the homepage or you read the pages, you are very clear on what the products and services are, and there's no question about that. There's some branding there as well. Branding is not just something that big box companies or big brands do. Branding is something that all businesses should keep in mind. So if you are a restaurant that specializes in Mexican cuisine, then, make sure that all of your marketing materials, your menus, your website, your business card, any other advertising that you do, your placemats, that all of them have the same look and feel. When you do that, you teach your viewers how to process your information. And it's really simple. Like if I visited this restaurant right here, and they've got kind of like a clean, classic American style kind of thing going on, and their website looks like this. But then when I go to their business itself, and the business might look completely different, and the menu looks completely different, and the business card looks completely different, and everything is just all over the place, that is very confusing for me as a consumer. But if I show up at this restaurant and the website is just accurately representing the look and feel of the restaurant itself, and the menu is designed in a similar fashion as the website, and everything is congruent, that really affects how I process all of their information. It makes me feel good about it makes me recognize their brand. It makes me want to interact with them more, because it makes me feel more comfortable and more familiar with what they're all about. Um, and so you create this sort of invisible bond or this invisible trust, all based off of that familiarity, all through the branding. So the same thing is true here. Like, so you get here, you have a very clear idea of who this business is. Nice pictures, my company. You start with the menu. Right here, this is a mobile version of the salon here, and you could see here that they have 4 different services that they wanted to highlight on their homepage, and they did that with pictures. And the text is not written in here. These are actually These are actually responsive layouts that we have available for all of our website clients to start working off of, because all of the hard stuff is done, and all you've got to do is swap out your pictures, change the color if you want, and update the content. But we're giving you ideas, so that you can create a good business identity for yourself. So if you have a salon or a service provider, you like this look and feel, great. Swap out these pictures and label what your four top services are that you want to recommend, and just get to work. But you can see here that the pictures and the titles behind the pictures, that really helps make each of those pop. So if I'm looking at this website for the first time, my eye goes directly to these four pictures and I want to know what they are. If all I had on this website was the four paragraphs, then my eye wouldn't know where to go. And so that's why these four pictures and these four headers are so important. Now, moving to the right here, this one is one of our responsive layouts that deals with not-for-profits, right? So we've got causes and big, letters. We help make the world a better place. So one of the things we said was to go ahead and highlight certain text or make certain text pop out. You've got a little bit of space dedicated to a short description. And just like we did here with the services, we did the same thing here, but with causes. Cause 1, cause 2, cause 3. And so the idea, again, is that we're prompting you with types of content that you would want to use on your website so that you have good content. There's no point in us writing random text here, because it's not original text. And that was another one of our rules, is that you need to have original content, that is accurately representing what you're all about. And you want to use these as thought-provoking ideas that you can swap out for your own causes or your own services. And to the right here, you got the same thing. This one's a more of a professional service, so it's a different look and feel. But again, the idea is that design-wise, it's all congruent with everything that you're doing. It's giving your business an identity or a brand, and everything is scannable. It's very visual. Each one of these sample screenshots that I've taken from our responsive layouts have a very clear look and feel, have a very clear identity. And more than that, it's a very clear list of products and services that each one of these businesses would offer. The next thing to keep in mind for good content is to make sure that contact information is very easily accessible. Sometimes, or most of the time, people are actually going to a website just to grab your phone number or your email really quickly. And if they have to search a website to find it, then that's problematic. Not everybody will do that. And so if they can't find it right away, then they may not do it at all. Now, obviously, you're going to have pages that are dedicated just to contact information, but what you want to also do is make sure that you're embedding your phone number, email address, and your physical address at the very footer of the website or at the very top of the website. So over here, this is the American cuisine layout right here that we just showed you, and this is actually on the home page. And right on the home page, there's a section for reservations, and it says call, the phone number is here, or book online here. So it's really cool. We're giving them the phone number right away. Oops, excuse me. Right away in the body of the website itself, and the option to click. We also have directions, Google Maps embedded right into the homepage, and that was really, really helpful too, because with things like restaurants or stores or businesses where there would be a lot of foot traffic, another highly searched thing in local businesses, a local business, is directions to and from the business. So embedding a Google map for a business that has high foot traffic is always a good idea. Below that, we've got our social media icons right here. And then at the very footer of the website, we've got contact information. We've got an email address, a phone number, and a physical address. So this is all from a home page, actually, and I think that's really, really cool that everything is very visible. Now, in terms of creating a good contact us page, again, it's not just a simple listing of stuff. Go ahead and take the time to make sure that content is still visual. I mean, it's contact information. So how exciting can you get? Well, this is a pretty cool contact us page, I think. You've got a feedback form here. You've also got a nice little call to action, a monthly newsletter sign up. On the right here, instead of just saying this is our email, phone number, and address, they also included a couple of cool little icons so that your eye is drawn to it. Now, we know logically that you don't need a picture of a telephone to know that that's a phone number. But because those icons are there, the user's eye is drawn right over to it. They know exactly what it is, and they don't have to read the word. They don't have to read the word telephone. They see a picture of one. And so again, this is just we're not talking about um, you know uh, crazy big things, but these small little details make a big difference because of the way that people process information today. Same thing over here on the left hand side. So this person used different icons for the phone and a different one for the map. But also on their contact stuff, they also have social icons and embedded maps. Third is credibility, right? So when you're thinking about good content, you also want to create some credibility. And the best way to do that is to not just talk about yourself, but to share what other people are saying about your business. I mean, people really don't care what you say about yourself. They mostly care what other people say. And again, just think about yourself as a consumer when you're looking for a product or service. Are you not reading customer reviews? Especially if that product or service is a new one or it's your first time ordering from an online store. You always read the reviews and see what people thought of the service itself or of the shipping or of the timeliness or the communication, whatever it is about that product or service. People always want to know. And so it's important to actually collect some testimonials so that you've got some third party credibility built right into your site. So this was from the doctor layout, and you can see here that not only did we in this layout set it up where we're prompting you to include some testimonials so that you can have some credibility, but again, all of these are incredibly visual, right? And so we know that there's no way to get around it. When you're sharing a testimonial, that means that you're asking the viewer to read. And so we wanted to do stuff so that visually that content would be absorbed better. So you've got the cool little call outs here. You've got the title and a short description. It's very short and sweet. This is not big. And you've got another little icon here. Another cool thing about this site, this particular example that I like, is that instead of just calling it testimonials, which is totally acceptable and fine, they decided to be a little more creative in their title and say, give it a title of "Our Patients Say." So I really liked that. Now this testimonial page is a little bit different. I got some cool little transparencies over a couple. Over here, this is clearly an attorney or a professional service, so the color palette is a little bit different. It's a little bit more muted and conservative on purpose. But all three of these are a great way to build your credibility because this content speaks for itself, right? It's not what you're saying, it's what others are saying about you. Another thing you can also include here to create some credibility is to share awards that you've been given, any articles or news outlets that you might have been included or referenced or written about in. Those are all really great things to share as well. And at the end of the day, the idea and one of the goals for you needs to be to build trust with the visitor. And so the way to do that is through third party credibility. The next one to think about is your call to action. And so the call to action is really one of the most important parts of a website. It's the part that, this is that dialogue. This is that, you're getting somebody to make, to take some action. So it's not just like a website that's out there and kind of getting people excited about the business, but not really, leading to anything. This is the part that gets you the results, and that's why you have a website in the first place. So we want to make sure that you actually get those results. So you want to make sure you're calling to action. I think a lot of people, or a lot of small to medium-sized business owners, make the mistake of thinking, well, I have a small business, I have a restaurant, or I have an attorney practice, or I only have 20 employees, so I don't need to think that way. That's for big business. And that couldn't be more false. You definitely want to make sure you're calling to action. So some ideas are to offer a coupon or a deal or a special. And so right here you could see we've got like a travel layout that we released that you can edit. And right here we're recommending that you share, a special. So this was the Yosemite Lodge for only $219. It's a 2-night stay, and right over on the homepage you can see this really cool deal. There's a button right here that clicks to view the deal, and then below that there's another listing that says discover hundreds of top rated getaways, and a cool little button here. So you can see, by the way, would you agree that this is really nice business identity here, right? It's a really, really beautiful design, and there's different parts of the site that are working really well, and this is, a nice call to action. Another thing that's very popular is asking people to, request a quote or a free consultation, or an appointment. And so right here, these are both taken from home pages of designs. You can also create its own page, but it's really simple stuff. All of our websites come with the ability to do appointments, and to also do online reservations for, appointments, where you can actually pick a time and a place. They also come with the ability to fill out a form. So if you want someone to just request more information, they could do that as well. But this is taken from the doctor's website, and this person was requesting a physical because that's what they chose in the drop down. This is the date, this is the time, this is their information. So they submit it, they request that appointment time, and now the doctor's office staff could call that patient back and confirm that appointment and or move it around, right? Same thing over here. So there's different designs you can do. But again, what I like about all three of these call to actions are, again, we're not just saying, hey, sign up for our newsletter, or hey, go ahead and schedule an appointment, but we are showing them that. These are designed really well so that they're exciting, and as the viewer of this website, your eye goes right to the places it's supposed to go to, which is that appointment setting, because the call to action is what makes you your money, right? That's what turns a viewer, or a lead into a customer, or into, repeat business. The email newsletter is another really great thing. So that is something you can do. So you can just go ahead and create a little form. Feedback, this is a call to action as well, where you're asking someone to interact with you, and leave some feedback, and or at the very bottom here, you're asking the viewer if they would like to submit their email address to be a part of your monthly newsletter so that you can actually stay in contact with them going forward. All right, so next thing I want to talk about are some questions to ask yourself when you're writing the actual content itself. So we all agree that these are good goals for your site, or good important things to keep in mind. But when you're writing the actual verbiage, what are some things to think about so that your content is well written, right? That was one of the things we needed, was to have well written content. So the first question, that I like to have our clients start with is, how will this website help to increase your sales? All right. And so that generally breaks down into two different big categories: information and e-commerce. So with regard to information, we have to help increase sales. We have to help our customers understand what makes us unique, better, or different, right? So what is it about us that sets us apart from our competition? Because that's one of the things that will attract a new customer, is if they say, well, look, I've got 5 different options and I'm doing my research. Well, what about you makes you special or different and a reason for them to go with you instead of the competition. Have you run any awards recently? Have you been involved in the community? That's a big one, actually. In a lot of towns, that's a big one. If you do any volunteering, or if you donate, or if you sponsor a little league team, if you do any of that stuff, that's all really great content that helps set you apart from other companies. I love this. Were you recently recognized by a local politician, or maybe a news station, or any organization for something positive that you've done, or maybe contributed to society? Um, Now, this is really important to think about. These are things that set you apart and they make you more trustworthy. And if you can share about your services that you provide or your products and why they're better, that just that helps with quality. But we have one client, actually one of been a client for almost 10 years. And, they were really good at this. They were really, really good at this. And the funniest part about this was when they first got started, they didn't even own a computer. They were still typing up estimates on a typewriter, but they knew that they needed a website because they knew that uh, their customers were going online to search for products and services. So they were looking at this, even though they felt very not non-tech savvy, they were looking at this as just a more effective way to market their business, and they would have been right, and that's true. But the funniest part is, for as untech savvy as they were, they probably wrote some of the best content I've ever seen. Like, we went through with them and we asked these kind of questions, and they're not technical questions, right? These are questions about your business. Anybody that owns a business should be able to answer these questions, and by doing so, the default is that you get really good content. So they did that, and it was really interesting. So they had a ton of awards, and they sponsored a bunch of local organizations. And another really cool thing was when they were working in a home, or on a home, they actually found like over $10,000 in cash, just kind of like buried in they were doing like a cleanup. And so they turned it in to the police, and they tracked down the family member of the person. This was a home of someone that had passed on, and they were actually cleaning it up. And so they turned it in, and they made sure that the family members got this cash back. And it was just like really admirable and really, really great. And so lots of little news articles went out about how cool it was that someone found tens of thousands, over $10,000 in cash, and instead of keeping it and just pretending like they never saw it, decided to turn it in. So anyway, it's just like things like that. If you're the kind of person where maybe you work all day and you need to hire a contractor to come into your house, and you're doing your research and you come across a bunch of websites, and this particular website did a good job of describing their products, their services, and on top of that, you've got all this credibility of how trustworthy and what a great company and how ethical they are. That's going to help the viewer make a good decision. And so these are really cool things to keep in mind. Don't feel like you should keep these kinds of things from your website. In fact, they only add to the content. Some other good stuff that will help give you good information to increase your sales are: think about the frustrations that your potential customers in your industry are going to experience, and how would your business help to solve these problems. And so what we're saying is, think about your content in the reverse of what you probably are thinking about. A really great study or case study would be, it was for a garage door opener. And so most people, when they're actually marketing their product, that product would focus on the technology and why this garage door opener is so amazing. And, if you push this button, this is what happens, and you've got this warranty. And they start focusing on all the technical parts of the garage door opener, right? And so what happens is you lose your audience, because your audience really doesn't care about the technical parts of that product. What they care about is the benefit of the product. So there was a really brilliant marketing strategy behind that, where instead of talking about all the technical things about the product. They focused on the frustration that their potential customer would feel and how their product would help. So the commercial was all about a crazy busy family, a mom and a dad, and they were like running from activity to activity, and they had all these groceries, and it was completely uh pouring out. I mean, it was just raining and raining and raining. And so you watch this family go through their crazy chaotic day, and then they get home and they've got all these groceries and it's raining out, so they push the little button, they go in, and the door shuts behind them, and like for the first time in the whole day, they've got like a peaceful moment where they're not being rained on. They can just easily bring their groceries into their house because of the garage door opener. Now, I mean, Lauren was cracking up about this because she goes, by the end of that commercial, I felt like I needed to buy that. And then I realized they already had a garage door opener. And that's just brilliant marketing. That is somebody that's saying, look, I want to speak to my potential customers in terms of how I can help solve their issues more than on, technical stuff. It's focusing on the benefit of your product and service rather than the feature or the technical attribute of your product and service. Good information that's conversational, that sets you apart, will help to increase your sales. And that information on a website is just a slam dunk. In terms of e-commerce, making sure that your products are up to date, that you've got a nice variety. Once you get your products set up in our system, it's actually really easy. I mean, it's you can upload multiple products at once. You can manage your inventory. But for smaller businesses, when I say that, I mean you're not Target. Um, you know, it may be trickier to manage an online inventory only if you don't dedicate the time to do so. It's a very simple system to manage, and we'll do a future session on that. Or you always have access to tech support on these things. But keeping your products up to date and making sure there's a nice variety so that people don't feel like they're limited to just 10 or 20 choices is cool. Also, offer the opportunity for people to pay their bill online if you're a service provider. Allow people to do that if you want to. All of these items will help to increase your sales. Second question to ask yourself when writing your content is, how will your website help to increase your customers' satisfaction? So with that being said, can you make anything easier for your customer, more convenient with scheduling, right? Can people go ahead and book a reservation for a restaurant? Can they make an appointment online? Can they just request an appointment online or a consultation, right? If they can do that online and not have to pick up the phone and call or send you an email and wonder if you got it, it makes a big difference in how satisfied they feel in the experience itself. Second, in terms of downloads and resources, your website should not just be a source of creating new customers. Your website should also serve your existing customers, right? So you can have content on there that's just for them. Maybe it's, hey, if you are a client and you have appointments with us, what are some important things to bring with you? We just finished a website for a physical therapy place, and they actually deal with people that have been in mobile accidents or have had work accidents, and a lot of times it's not just doctors and surgeons involved but also attorneys. And so it was interesting, their old website didn't talk about any of that. And so one of the questions I asked the owner was, well, talk to me about your existing customers. Are they showing up prepared, or how's the website serving them? And they said, you know what? It's actually not serving them. We've really just been using our website as a source of marketing. And I said, well, do you think it might be helpful if you could put some of your what to bring to your appointments, or important things like that, so that they have their X-rays, they have their attorney's contact information, they have their surgeon's information, all of that before they even walk through your door. And they were like, you know what? I never thought of that, and um, it's brilliant. And it's true. It's like you want to make sure that you're servicing existing clients as well. By the way, that's a value proposition. it's funny. It has two benefits. I mean, firstly, it's benefiting your existing client base because you're giving them resources and information that they need. But secondly, it's a value proposition for an existing or a non-customer, because when they're evaluating you and they're getting information and they see that you actually have some good stuff on there for people once they become a customer, they realize that you value your customers. Warranties, brochures, more information, contractors. Contractors spend a great deal of this month in our area going out and doing estimates and dropping off brochures and all of this stuff. And then gosh, it's there's a lot of back and forth. I can't tell you how many roofing contractors are going to go back and forth to drop off different brochures of different shingle providers and then different warranties that are associated with different ones. There could be a lot of time saved and a lot of increased customer satisfaction, because now they can just get that stuff online and not have to wait for it. And it also saves you a trip. So one of the cool things about increasing your customer satisfaction is a lot of times that actually streamlines your business practices as well. So that's another question to ask yourself. How could your website help to streamline your business practices? The first one is to increase engagement, right? So social media engagement. um, you know, are you asking people to follow you? And so, by the way, you should put that in your email responders. You should put that on your business cards. You should put your social media on your website, on any advertising that you do. Um, Now, one of the most popular ways to get people to connect with you on social media on your website is to say, follow us. But, I like connect with us or get inspired by or, come play or come discover or things like that, so that it doesn't just say like follow us, because that kind of sounds like, I mean, it was that was the acceptable term, but now there's other ways to do it as well. People know what it means when they see those little social icons. So if you say get inspired by our looks or or stay in touch or whatever, and you have got those icons there, they know that by clicking on them, you're asking them to follow you, but it's just more inspiring to come up with a different call to action there. Another cool thing to do is you could repost your clients or have live feeds involved. Lots of cool things. Calls to action, easy to find, easy to do. Email marketing, stay in touch. Are you able to drive traffic? Are there any tools that we have that might be able to save you time or money from managing these kinds of things in other platforms? Yes or no? And do these things need to be integrated into the front end of your website? Yes or no? So these are really cool things to ask yourself as well. So, as we said earlier today, and as you've noticed, all of my examples to you have been with responsive designs. And we did that for a number of reasons. Obviously, today Google launched their new algorithm for indexing websites based on user experience as well as their content. And they did that because, like I said, over 60% of their views are coming on mobile devices. So there's different ways to be mobile friendly. The first and obvious way is to just create a mobile website. And about 3 or 4, actually almost 4 years ago, when mobile viewing of websites started to become popular, mobile website design became popular as well. And so having a mobile version of your website became, something that you had to think about. Unfortunately, that meant that most people designed a whole separate site that was the mobile version of their site. So it was optimized so that people could see text better. It wasn't a full desktop version, but it was like a shrunken version, but it was a completely different website. And so what happened was a couple of things. The first issue that started to come up was if you update your regular version of the website, then your mobile website would need to be updated as well. And so people would either A, be incredibly inconvenienced by having to maintain two websites because they had two versions, or they just wouldn't update the mobile version. So you'd be updating your desktop and thinking that your mobile version is getting updated, and it's not. The second thing, which was actually, I don't think many people even knew this was happening, was search engine optimization was actually suffering for business owners that had a mobile website. And the reason is because the mobile website was not an extension of the existing site for the business owner. It was a completely different website. And so in reality, you might have had, you know, 1,000 visitors per month, but you know, 500 of them went to the mobile site and the other 500 went to the desktop. So Google doesn't realize that you've got 1,000 visitors coming to your business's website. Google looks at that and thinks you only have half of that traffic, right? And so it affects how highly you become indexed because, again, Google doesn't care. They're in the business of making good referrals, and if all they see is 500 visitors, that's all they see. They're not going to tie those two together. And that's why responsive design became so important. Responsive design now uh, allowed you to have mobile friendly versions of the websites because it automatically adjusted based upon the device that it was being viewed on. So if it was viewed on a desktop, then it showed the full version. If it was being viewed on a tablet, then it, condensed it a little bit. And then when it was being viewed on a mobile device, it condensed it even more to make a mobile friendly version. So now you're getting a good user experience no matter what device it's being viewed on. And more importantly, it's one site. So search engine concerns related um, to that whole scenario that existed 3 or 4 years ago are completely eliminated. And so I want to show you what that looks like, if that's okay. So hold on one second. Actually, that one's all viewed out. Let's go with this one. So this is one of our free responsive layouts, and you can actually adjust, you can actually log into your account and play with these yourself, but this is one website, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually change the width of this site so you could see what would happen across the different sizes. So this is the full version. You've got the menu up here, the picture, welcome to the restaurant, beautiful pictures, and then all kinds of other good stuff. The maps are built right into there. Now, as you go left to right, the website automatically adjusts so that it fits better. See that? So these pictures are not stuck here. Actually, I want to show you another one. So you can see that. Desktop version. This is that lawyer site right here. There's a nice call to action. The phone number is nice and transparent. You've got some cool things that are highlighted, very little text, icons, service titles, meet our attorneys. We're setting them out, testimonials. But this is all on the homepage, right? So what's cool is on a desktop version, you can have this really wide thing going on. When you go to a tablet version, it automatically adjusts from 4 wide to 2 wide. And then when you look at it in the iPhone version or the Android version or Samsung, now it's down to 1 wide. So this kind of a website would be really, really highly indexed on Google or Yahoo because of the way that it's built. First of all, it's excellent content. Second of all, it's extremely user friendly. And so Google actually has, with their new algorithm, will actually know if something was built responsively or if something is a fixed width. This is not fixed, right? This is something that automatically adjusts based on how wide the screen. So what's really cool about this, guys, is you can have a tablet size, you could have that was desktop, you could have a tablet size, or what they call a phablet, which is a very large phone, or an actual mobile size. And again, everything fits automatically. It's automatically adjusted, so there's no need to create a whole second website. Anytime you adjust content on the website, it is adjusted across all versions, so it makes it so much easier to maintain because you're no longer having to maintain multiple versions of a website. So I really, really love and appreciate that. User opinions about mobile. Here's what you need to know. 87% of American adults have a mobile device. 88.5% of the Alexa top rated websites are responsive. Alexa, rates websites based on popularity, usability, and efficacy. And so having a high Alexa rating would be a good thing. And 88.5% of those highest rated websites are actually responsive. More importantly for you, though, from a local business standpoint, 40% of people abandoning a site if it takes too long to load. A mobile version is optimized, it will load faster. 67% are more likely to purchase from mobile-friendly sites. 74% are likely to revisit mobile-optimized sites. And 52% of people are less likely to engage with companies if they have a bad mobile site experience. So aside from the fact that Google is pretty much demanding that all websites be built responsively or with a mobile-friendly version, the customer base speaks for itself. They are demanding that just based on their actions and how they interact with us. Excuse me. Nearly 2/3 of people are visual learners. I think we already discussed all of that today. Your content needs to be designed well. It needs to be well written, original content, and it needs to be designed responsively so that content can also be easily absorbed and be better indexed by the search engines, right? So, with that being said, you've got some really great solutions for going responsive. Now, we did an entire webinar on this, so I'm not going to repeat all of that information, but I did want to bring your attention and remind you that you have some options here. You can build your website with us responsively by logging into your administration and choosing one of the responsive layouts, and then go ahead and edit the content, swap out the pictures. Work with tech support. They're open 24/7 with the exclusion of a few holidays every year, and they're available to help you through that process if you would like to save some money and do it yourself. Now, hopefully, our session tonight has given you some really good ideas for creating good content within that new responsive site for yourself. The second option that you have is you can choose a premium responsive layout. Now, if you want to use one of our premium responsive layouts, it comes with 10 pages of rich, compelling content. And so it's written in the same way that all of my examples have been given to you today, where it prompts you for good content. So it will prompt you to set up your online reservations. It will prompt you to describe 3 different services that you provide. And the responsive layouts also have some really cool technology built into them as well, the premium responsives. It's only $100 to upgrade to premium, and it's still a do-it-yourself option by nature, so you can still work with tech support and get support on that, but it gives you a lot of content ideas and prompts, more pages, and more streamlined business practices built right into the layout itself, where the regular responsive layouts that you have access to are 5 pages. The other options that you have, if you don't want to spend any time doing this, is you could just purchase service. You could always purchase a design package at any point. And they can be designed responsively. If you buy a design package, we are recommending that they are built responsively right off the bat. You don't have to pay an additional fee for that. It will be built responsively for you. And it's also built inside the editable platform so that going forward, you still have the flexibility to maintain your own content in the future. So all of those options, again, you have unlimited tech support. You can, with the Design Center, they will actually design the site for you, and they will help make sure that everything is, laid out graphically and visually for you. So just before we end the session tonight, I wanted to remind everybody, I've mentioned our YouTube channel a couple of times today, so if you want to watch that responsive webinar from 2 months ago, you can go to youtube.com maWebCenters official. And that recorded session is available there for you to check out. We've also got Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and a blog and a newsletter. All of these channels, we are pushing out ideas and business suggestions or marketing suggestions or samples, all kinds of great stuff just to interact with you guys. And we're reposting your designs as well. So make sure you guys are interacting with us on social media and checking out the blogs. Lots of little tidbits here that are designed to help you with your online solution. Again, this is our client education webinar series. So if you are registered, then check us out again next month. And I believe next month we're going to be dedicating the topic to social media strategies for local businesses. So thank you guys so much for joining me tonight. I hope that tonight was helpful for you. And I hope you have a great week. Take care.